Why do we want to design our lives? What does it mean to design your life? If you are someone that has been asking this question to yourself, if you have been wondering, what do people mean when they say, I am the creator of my life, I am creating my life, I'm designing my life? If that's something that you've been curious about and maybe something that you don't fully understand, I'm very happy that you are in this video because I am going to break down what that means, how we do it, what are some of the benefits of doing that, because I share on my videos that it is super interesting how once we get into the space of self-development and spirituality, we start growing and evolving, changing, learning so much that we kind of forget that one day we didn't know what these terms, these ideas, these concepts meant. So, super happy to be here talking about this subject because that's how I live life, how I create the life I want. And yeah, let's dive into this big and exciting subject. So, hopefully, after you watch this video, you feel a little inspired to start doing the same. So, what does it mean to be the creator, to create, to design your life? It's very simple, and I can start by giving you an example of how life used to be for me before I started creating my life. I want to share something now that it's a process. And now that I'm reflecting back, it is a process. I can see clearly how I wanted to be the creator. I feel like if you are at that place, it sounds so exciting. I was like, yes, my whole body was just like drawn to that idea of that's how I want to do and live, experience life. From that moment to now, I want to say there's, you know, there's some time. It took me a little time, but the feeling, well, we will get to how I feel and how I experience life at the moment. But very much before I started creating my life, I would wake up, you know, I had jobs for many years that I didn't like, so I would get up off my bed, I would go to work. I was in a relationship, so I would be the person that was in that relationship, and I would just do life in what you have here we call as autopilot. I don't think I was present, and presence is just, I think we are going to talk about it a lot during this video, and I talk a lot about presence and ways to teach our bodies and our minds to be present in my channel a lot. Um, in the moment we are present, we are the creators. We are creating the moment, the present moment, everything that we are experiencing. We are choosing what to feel, what not to feel, what to think. In the moment we live our presence, in the moment we start getting in, to give you an example, how you know you are present and how you can tell if you're present or not. When you are present, you are fully in your body. You are feeling all the parts of your body. You are choosing the things that you express, and you are also in your heart. You are just grounded in your experience. And the easy way to recognize when we are not feeling that way, if you maybe are familiar, if these things are not, very, yeah, if you're not very familiar to recognize these states, the easiest way is to see when your mind is very busy, when you have anxious thoughts, when your mind is just racing, racing, racing. You're going from one scenario to other scenario in the future or in the past. In the moment we are in the present, we are in the present. We are not thinking about what happened. We are not thinking about what's going to happen. We are enjoying, and maybe not necessarily enjoy, but we are there with whatever it is, the sensations, the emotions. We are feeling everything. So I knew all this idea about presence since I was little, very little, since the reason of that is because I grew up with a dad that he's a Zen monk. I'm sorry that there are mosquitoes and a lot of things here that trigger my allergies. Um, So since I was very little, I was part of his lifestyle, and he had a zendo, which is the place where people that practice Zen meditation um, get together to meditate. So I knew the concepts, I just didn't practice them, and I didn't fully understand them until later in my life. So I think when I finally started practicing these things, it became a little easier. It was just kind of natural for me to just to adapt to practice these ideas, these concepts. I hope that's clear. You always feel free to, if maybe something that I'm saying it's not, super clear for you, feel free to leave some comments, and I'm happy to record another video explaining deeper anything that you might like. So in my life, I want to say that I have done different practices, yoga, exercising, where I kind of started touching that idea of presence, where I would recognize moments where I felt like I was in that embodiment of my experience, like I was there, but I would disconnect. So I would do my days like that. Like there were moments where I was just doing a little walk in the park, or I would go to a yoga class and I would feel that presence, that connection with myself. But for the rest of the day, I was just out in my mind, loud and operating from all these thoughts, anxious thoughts. It's just funny because a lot of the times we have all these terms that also I sometimes I am like, I don't even know if I like the sound of these terms, like anxious thoughts, like thoughts that are going very fast and you are not choosing them. They're just like operating like automatically in your mind. That's what anxious thoughts are. So that's how life used to look like for me. And little by little, by realizing, oh my God, it is very true that when I do yoga, when I'm in a flow, when I'm breathing, when I am that energy, the group energy, following the energy of the person that is guiding us, the teacher, I have something, if something special feels in my body, in my everything, and I leave the class having all these, great feelings. So I think I I insist and I invite always in my videos people to get curious. So I started getting curious, like it is true that something really special happened in those spaces when I do those things. How can I bring this into my life? And practicing different styles of meditation, I got very curious also with Joe Dispenza. I talk a lot about Joe Dispenza. Um, I want to say for anyone that is resonating with everything that I am saying, Joe Dispenza is a good source of information if you really want to understand what's happening to our brains, why we live autopilot from the perspective of science of our brains, our minds. He's just a really amazing person to learn from. He has this very big, enthusiastic energy, loving energy. So it's just like it feels a very safe, warm place to learn from. And again, I have this influence from Zen meditation. So I would spend time with my dad. I would get curious about his world because he's fully into this lifestyle, and I would also feel and sense all these benefits. So I started collecting different things that my body would like would because I'm very passionate about especially sharing this part of my process, because I don't think what works for me is what's going to work for everyone. um, what works for me might have some pieces that it is the one that is gonna work for you. So I always like to invite everyone to just again get curious, explore. Let your inspiration, when you feel inspired about something, let that drive you and guide you to where you truly, authentically need to go in life. So again, I had this massive influence of my dad in the Zen, and I appreciate a lot of things from that world. But also my exploration with yoga, exercising, like cycling, and very basic things that you would never think like that can be spiritual or you know. a place where you would experience this presence in our bodies, in our minds. So by me connecting all these dots, I built this practice. And it's crazy for me to be talking about these things now, because it was a couple of years that, thanks to the how constant, how consistent I was with these practices as a habit. I talk also a lot about habits in my channel. I created this new way of living and experiencing life from that place of presence. So I did a lot of breath work, for example. I have to say, like, I was super committed and super consistent. With the work of Joe Dispenza, I did his breath work technique and the meditations. And I think I started doing his work, I want to say 2022, maybe a little earlier. And I did it probably for 2 full years. I was practicing other things too, other ways of meditating. I did a lot of hypnosis meditation. So I trained my mind. I trained my mind to explore these other states. And in that exploration, you learn when it feels good, when it doesn't feel good. You learn, the same thing as when you're learning a sport, when you're learning how to, the thing that is going to my mind, when you learn how to play music, when you want to be a DJ. You learn all the little things that you have to switch here and there to get the what sounds good for you, what feels good for you. So once I got that foundation of, okay, this is what feels good, and nervous system is a big piece in this too, because that's very, like, I'm emphasizing a lot in this video in how unique and different this process and tools can be for anyone. Our nervous system is the most unique thing that exists. I did a lot of things in that process of creating my practices. I moved to new cities where the weather was supporting, my nervous system. So once I started learning so much of how my body and my mind and my everything was responding to the things that I was doing, I got this momentum and foundation to now start creating my life. So I went from waking up and doing in autopilot a job, relationships, everything, to now I have this. I'm super proud and grateful that I get to have this routine where I spend an hour or hour and a half in the morning before I start the day. I'm a very slow person. I take my time. Even these days, I'm realizing, like, I'm so slow. I take so long to finally wake up after sleeping for through the night. So I take an hour. I think I've been realizing that when I'm drinking my tea is when my body's still kind of like, woo, we're awake now, we're ready to start the day. I have that time in the morning to journal. I like to journal. But a version of that for some people can be going on a walk and just being in your, taking a look of what's in your mind and selecting the things that you want. It's like almost think of a cook, a chef, when you think about, I think most of us have that relationship. When we think about the idea of a chef, we have that admiration and we have that knowing that it is an act of creation what they do. It's a ceremony. So they have this connection with the food, the ingredients that they're gonna use, and it's almost like magic as well, right? So that's pretty much what I do in the morning. Like, okay, what do they have today? I've been working through these emotions. I've been working through these thoughts, these beliefs. How do they want to approach to this? How I want to treat these things during my day? And now we can start maybe talking about how we create. Like, this is, I think I was explaining how my life used to be before I started creating the life that I want, and now, and what I did to start getting ready to start creating the life that I want. And when we start thinking about, okay, now that I understand myself so well and all the things that I do in autopilot, I also want to say that's an investment. The same way we want to buy a house and we want to buy things in our lives, and we know that takes some of our wealth or money. When we, I'm sorry, when we do this kind of work, is the same thing. So the investment is time, or energy, or curiosity. Um, so when we do all this work, there are things that are going to start showing up in the process. Like, we're going to start understanding, oh, this is the reason why I do things in autopilot. I'm happy to leave that for another video, because I think we can get, I'm always very passionate about talking about this subject, so it's easy for me to go in many different directions. A lot of stuff can start revealing, presenting for you, um, about the why you live in autopilot. And we all humans are very similar. It's like it has to do with everything that you experience in childhood and you learn from your environment when you were little. Anyway, let's go back to why we want to create our lives. No, I think it's clear. We want to be the creators of our life because we don't want to operate from autopilot. When we live from autopilot, what's happening there? Maybe that's a good thing to explain. Unfortunately, it's we are not ourselves. We are not being the authentic beings we can be. That's also something that we get to choose. You choose if you want to be the most authentic version of yourself, or if you just want to be that mass, that human that has accumulated things that are running in autopilot. What are some of the things? Let's break down that a little quicker, if I can. Let's see. So when we are little, we are sponges. We are absorbing everything that is around us. I'm pretty sure you're familiar about this concept as well. We have dad and mom. Some people didn't have mom and dad. So in any caretaker that was around you, you are mimicking, you are repeating. They say, oh, it's so sunny, it's a beautiful day. And you have seen kids how they are. At the end of the day, they go and repeat the same thing. It was so sunny, it was a beautiful day. The cutest, sweetest thing ever. But the same way we repeat and we absorb the positive, we also absorb the negative. So very easily, kids start absorbing negative behaviors and associations. So wearing short dresses, it is bad because that makes you look like someone that wants to sleep with every single guy. It's a crazy thing, but that some people might have that belief. And if you're little and you decided that it was funny, or for whatever reason you start repeating that, you, since that moment, created that idea, that belief. So now you go into the world and you want to wear a dress, a short dress, and you start feeling a little embarrassed because one day you had that idea, you created that idea as the truth. And it's just, it's really interesting for me still to think that a lot of the things that we today believe and do are based on the brain and the ability of a child to choose what's good and what's not good. That's why doing this kind of investment, it is so powerful and wonderful. And I mean, I just don't see why not to do it. If now we are just gonna go back to our early days, the times, the moment in our lives when we started deciding the human we wanted to be, and just take a look and see, like, okay, this is really what I think, or maybe I think something different. Maybe this kind of belief will free me, will make me feel more authentic to who I really want to be. So I hope that's clear too. A lot of this happens in childhood, but not only in childhood. Some people have gone through a lot of traumatic experiences, and the thing is, like, the most traumatic experiences, difficult experiences we have in life, if we didn't have the support, if we didn't have the guidance, it is so easy that we create a lot of crazy beliefs and behaviors, and we just start operating from that place. So we see that the way we can tell when someone is working, from those beliefs that are kind of like weak, or I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, that are not coming from love, that are not coming from a healthy place, is when we see people that keep attracting very negative experiences, or and it doesn't have to be in all areas in their lives, but maybe at work, always the crazy boss, always the crazy girlfriend, always the crazy group of friends that reject them or that do mean things to them, also crazy, almost always crazy clients, or health issues even. So when we start seeing that things keep repeating, and you probably at this point in social media you have here a lot of this idea that when people, rock bottom, like when everything is just like God, it's not going where they would like to go, that things are just like feel, yeah, overwhelmed, heavy, and not going in the direction they wish they could go. That's always when I see situations like that, and even in my own story, I learned to look at those moments, those experiences from a place of, oh, this is life showing you, calling you, giving you the invitation. Go look at that stuff that you don't even realize you created, those beliefs, those behaviors you created when you were little, that are not working for you. You are bigger and greater than what you are, attracting, projecting in your life at the moment. Life, you have something better, and you have been desiring something better. You just have to, work with this thing. um, like if we go back to the example of the chef, the person that is working with different ingredients, like you gotta get rid of that part of the onion that is not tasty. You can get a way better recipe. You have the talent, you have everything that it takes to get to that recipe you've been desiring to create. um, so that's a little bit of the autopilot. And when we get to that place of understanding ourselves, what we respond well to, that unique way of connecting with our experience, our nervous system, what nurtures or being, or or emotional self, or intellect, but what feels good for each of us, that's the moment when we're ready to start creating our lives, when we are ready to yeah, not live our lives from autopilot. Some people, I would say, stop doing the autopilot lifestyle, but don't start creating their lives. They stay in this place of awareness. They're so aware about who they are, but also that's like a very stagnant. I don't know if that's a word, but it's almost like it does. They don't move in life. They have all this crazy awareness about who they are, but yeah, they're kind of like not moving in the direction of the things that they desire. So that's why it's so important to create a vision. That way we start creating. We start creating the life we want, and we start creating the person that we want to be. So the vision, there's many ways to do it. I would share how I have done it. I got very into manifestation, and that's how I started understanding, like, oh God, yeah, this is what we have to do. We kind of clean all the autopilot lifestyle. We remove all that stuff. We create all this amazing space. We can stay kind of empty again, as I was describing it, but that's just, we're not experiencing all the rainbow, all the spectrum of life that we get to experience as humans. So, and that also is showing that there's some fear, that there's still some control, that's showing other stuff. But anyway, so what we want to do is to have that vision. That vision obviously can change. That vision can be one thing today, and once it's almost like sailing in the ocean. You know, it's like you today embark, you take a little paddle board, and it can be a very big jet in a couple of months. It can be um, a small sailing boat in a year or two, and the size doesn't matter because the experience is always going to be different. You might be going into, you know, Alaska, very cold waters or warmer waters. It doesn't matter, right? We are always changing, evolving, and we are enjoying different things. For me, you know, when I was in Miami, I was like, I don't think I would enjoy any other different weather than this humid, warm weather, and yeah, it's just waking up with the sunrise and all these things. And now I am in a different place, and I'm enjoying to, you know, I'm enjoying other things. I'm opening up to other experiences, and I'm like, life is so wonderful. We keep changing, we keep creating a space, and new things that we didn't even believe that they could exist, that we could experience, that we could enjoy, they come in into our lives. So now I'm getting this kind of analogy of, it is, that's the dance, that's the act of creation. It's almost like keeping a space, keeping a clean, working space, if we can say that. If you're a creative, you know, you have your desk, you have your table. It's like keeping things clean and organized, so new ideas, new projects can come in, right? And when this is done, ready to go, then we let it go and other new things come in. So having that vision, how do you want to feel? You know, and that's something super, I would say, for all of us is pretty much the same. We humans want the same things because those things give us the same feelings: abundance, love, connection. Yeah. But again, just enjoy the process of you getting into that core of those things that you personally want to experience in life. Um, so of course, writing down, having a vision board, whatever works for you, having that connection, emotionally connection with that thing that you desire, it is what you are going to be working with, you know. And I want to say also that sometimes we lose that connection. Sometimes when we are going through challenges, experiences happen, we lose the connection and we start getting back into the autopilot. So it's a work that it's an investment that we have to maintain. So there's a little demand of our attention or presence or work, and sometimes you're like, I don't know how to get back. And I think yesterday, that's my last video was about that. There's always that's another beautiful thing, that when we start living life from this place, we're never alone. There's always someone that says something that connects you back. And we develop this beautiful relationship with our ego, with all these parts that were in autopilot, the perfectionism, the people pleaser, the resistance, that we recognize them, and we have this love and compassion for all those parts of ourselves, that when they start presenting, you know, we recognize them. We're like, okay, visitors, I see you. And by us learning how to dance with these parts, learning how to receive them, accept them, we start also being able to let them go very easily. And again, it's almost like, okay, a way of cleaning the table. So that's how a bird, an owl, a conversation with the person that you never thought could give you that message, you start receiving the messages and the things that connect you and get you back in track, in the direction of working with your vision. So many things that I can say about the vision, and maybe I can record another video talking, going a little deeper in the subject of vision. Um, because yeah, from my own experience working with manifestation, I feel like people can get very obsessed about the vision, and I think it's more simple than anything. What I can say is that there's this tendency of putting the vision on a pedestal, of putting the vision like, this is where I have, this is the destination where I have to get where I need to go, and I have to. And that's when all the control and all the perfectionism and all the things from the autopilot start uh, coming in again. And the vision, what we start realizing with the vision is that it's all about having an idea of the feelings of, okay, I want to feel love, I want to feel abundance, I want to feel connection, I want to feel freedom. And it's about practicing, exercising that presence and feeling those things in the now, cultivating them in the now in every single thing that we do. um yeah, I don't think I want to add more to that idea. I want to keep it as simple as that, because that's what it is. Of course, we all have different visions. For example, I can share a little bit that I'm working on. I have these two passions to that have the desire to serve people, and I have these two passions in creativity and spirituality. So my vision is to find a way how I can combine them in order to help people, in order to be that bridge, that light, that um, I'm still, understanding what shape that's going to take. And that's a lot of what I share in my channel, like the business that I'm starting guided by my intuition. So since I started this journey that has taken many different shapes, but I have that vision and I am connected to that vision, how I want to feel. I have, a few lists. I have a list of a few things that feelings that I want. I want to feel in this abundance of expansion with people. Like I want to feel inspired, but I want to inspire others. I want to feel this love between the people that I'm working with, that I'm creating with. So just to break it down a little bit, I have, a list of the things the feelings I want to feel. And what I do is when I wake up in the morning, I connect for a little bit. I have, hour and a half to connect how during my day I want to embody, I want to be these feelings, I want to be this vision. And one other thing that I can add to this process is that it is a dance. It never stops every single day. I think once we know that vision, and the vision, again, I can create another video if you're curious, if you would like me to go deeper. We can talk more about Joe Dispenza's teachings and manifestation. Like my vision is already here, right? It's already somewhere in my life, right? I'm working to connect with the vision. So by me embodying, being those energies, those emotions, those feelings, I am connecting, I am creating that. Not that I'm creating it, I'm sorry, yeah, that's how we can reframe that in, like, I'm also learning, right? So because it exists already, so what I'm doing is connecting with that vision. And the way we connect with that vision is that because I am familiarizing. I'm sorry if sometimes I'm very creative and I create new words. I'm getting familiar with the emotions, the things that I was describing. Like I want this abundance of expansion with the people I'm creating with. I want to feel in this unconditional love with the things that I'm creating and the people that I am creating with. The same thing as I said earlier about creating the practices of meditation, breath work, and all these things. That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm becoming familiar until it is so normalized for my body, for my nervous system, for my being, that that's why we say we create it. I'm doing all these things to connect with them, so they start showing up in my life. I hope that's clear. Again, feel free to ask me anything so I can explain a little better if it's needed. So that's the part of why and how we create that vision, how we work with that vision. And maybe I can share, just to close the video, a little bit of how we experience life. How is life when we live this way, and it's humbling. I think I just got a little emotional. It's humbling because it's I the first thing that comes to my mind is like I finally feel like I am living life, that I am finally experiencing life. I get to choose. Well, one little part that I wanted to say and I forgot about the vision. So it's not like Disneyland. Like it's all happiness and all, not happiness. I don't like. It's not like everything is a fantasy, like all magical things happening all the time. That would be boring. We get to a place where we're like, give me some nightmares, give me, something exciting. So once we have that vision, and as I said, like we are trying to connect with that vision that exists already in our field, in the magnetic field, in the world, in our lives. Life, this is the juice, this is the interesting part. Life, what it starts doing is to reflecting back to us anything that is stopping us in our subconscious. This might be a little difficult. Let's see if I can explain a little easier. Everything that is stopping us from connecting with that vision. So again, I am not a perfect person, and because I did work on these things, I've been investing in my life, in creating the life that I want for a couple of years. That doesn't mean that the other 33 years of my life, that I have revisit and changed all the beliefs and negative associations I created since I was little. So it's just impossible. That's why it's a investment that we have to continue taking care of the rest of our lives. So life starts saying like, okay, I'm gonna just throw this dynamic to you because it seems like you still believe that you have to be the people pleaser, you have to be in these dynamics of control. You still haven't figured that out. um, so that's the dance. That's the dance. Even if I wake up and I have all these beautiful intentions, uh, because I desire. I'm trying also to shift from the want to desire, because want is when we still have that vision in the pedestal, when we think that it's outside of us, right? And when we desire, it's just a thing that comes from inside of us, and we feel like it is part of us. It's not like we have to step outside of us to get that thing. Um, anyway, so even though we have, that vision and that desire, yeah, we still receive situations and dynamics to uh, clear up space, to make a space for that thing. Yeah, I think you probably already understand that subject, that idea. And yeah, how I experience life, some of the benefits, is just freaking amazing. It is magic. There's magic and all the chaos too. We have the two balls. And we have the magic, and we enjoy moments of synchronicities. And I was sharing maybe earlier on this video, maybe other video, like now where I am, I'm surrounded by some of my favorite animals. I have a tattoo of an owl. There are a few owls in a tree that it's in front of the house, and I'm meeting all these people, and I'm just having these interactions and connections with people when I'm like reinforcing why I'm doing these things. That's, you start having all these, you like dialogue with, like conversation with life, where you are like, okay, I have this vision, and I know it comes from this deeper place in my heart. And even things get a little tricky and challenging sometimes, at the same time life is just reflecting back that love and that connection, um, that you have with that thing that you desire. So I was journaling this morning. I'm like, what are the new things that feel strong in a good way, like that were um, noticeable for me these days. The few things that have happening in my new chapter now that I'm in a new place. And it was a few conversations, and I'm like, what is the core of that conversation? It is connected with this vision that I am creating. So it's kind of, like a subtle way of, it's not like someone, I don't know. I'm just getting distracted now with these stories. Like sometimes it's just like this soft way of communicating with life, but it's always speaking to us and showing us that support and that guidance and that reinforcement that sometimes, it feels good, especially when we are like, okay, there is something that I need to work on. Like I get it, but I was saying that there are moments where we kind of feel like we're losing the vision. But yeah, life is always working with us, and it's just magical. That's the benefit that what we get to experience. And honestly, I guess you can tell from my passion, from how excited I am by sharing the way I live, how amazing it is. I'm sure you felt something in your heart, and I would be more than happy if you, yeah, if you now would like to experience life from these places. Again, there are tons of information. I'm more than happy to share more if you would like to ask me anything else. Yeah, I would be super excited to share everything that I have learned. For now, thank you so much for being here, for watching this video. I hope to see you on my next video. Peace and love and so much luck. And you don't need luck, but yeah, I wish you the best in your journey. Until my next video.